Ladies and gents, welcome to the channel. Mantalk Productions here, or Peter. You see me today in something that you've never seen me in before. It's a glider. This is the Discus 2C. This is the premium version from Got Friends. I have to say, the last several days, I've really started to get interested in gliding in the sim, and exactly how detailed that is. What is the actual simulation of air currents when it comes to gliding? And I'm very happy to say that actually in 2020 and 2024 gliding is actually fantastic. So I hung out with the Sim Soaring Club yesterday and did another little test flight today, and I thought, hey, for the third test flight, let's make a video of this. So I'm going to take this Discus 2C up. We're currently over in Wales. You can see the plan that I have. This is the Landbedder Task 2, and so we're going to be taking off from this airport, and we are going to be on a tow plane that's going to take us up to roughly 3,500 feet, and then we're going to try to gain some thermals. This is going to be mainly a thermals route today. There's really not that many ridges along the route that's going to provide us efficient ridge lift to complete the task, so it's going to scarily be thermals, and thermals are what I'm not good at. I actually really enjoy ridge flying. That makes sense to me, but the thermals I haven't fully nailed yet. It's still a bit of a learning curve for me, so I'm going to have fun trying to complete this using mainly thermals today. So here we go. So it says it's easy to moderate, so we've got various trackers and everything. Yeah, see, if I refresh, maybe it should actually show. Will it show? Yeah, there we go. It shows Mantalk, shows me there on the runway. I did actually spawn in on runway 23, which the task requires or asks you to, but whenever you, I guess MSFS 2024 just default spams you to the runway that it thinks you need to be on based on the winds. I'm not sure, so hopefully that won't penalize me, but we'll find out. So that being said, let's jump in the aircraft and see what we got going. So I am very new to gliding, so and there's always an FPS lag whenever I look at that guy who's holding my wing. But anyway, so in the glider, there's not much going on at first glance, but there's actually a fair amount going on. So we've got our trim down here, we've got our speed brakes here, we've got our canopy open here. This particular glider actually has a little electric propeller at the front that I can engage if it's kind of like a last-ditch attempt. If I completely run out of thermals and energy and altitude, I can actually, to stop falling in the sea, use this. And here's the battery power, so I've made sure that's fully charged because we will be going across water today. The pitot heat switch is on. So this is the McCready ring. So basically, as far as I'm aware, this needle shows me how fast the air around me is going up or down. So if I fly into a thermal, this needle should go up and show me, hey, this thermal is going up by 4 knots, right? Or down by 4 knots. This is a speedometer, pretty, yeah. I don't quite know what that yellow triangle thing is. I need to learn what that is. The blue lines, I think, is kind of your optimum envelope of fast and slow, I think. You've just got ventilation system here, variotone volume, so that's the volume. This is really cool. So this is not a vertical speed indicator. It may look like it, but it's not. So basically, the red, in layman's terms, the red needle will go up or down based on whether your aircraft is climbing or descending. But it's not as easy as that. Because you're in a glider, you don't have power, and so if you pull the stick back and you raise the nose and begin to climb, that red needle will not will not go above 0 of its own volition. It's basically, it's the red needle is showing you, do you have a positive energy input or a negative energy input? So it's, if you're not using powered flight, that needle will never go above 0 of its own accord. It will only ever go above 0 if there's an outside wind force acting upon you that's giving you energy, if that makes sense. We'll see it as we go along. This is the altimeter. Let's just hit the B key. Let's see if I turn that down and then I hit the B key. That's not actually working. That's weird. The B key is not working in this instance. Now I've just gone and screwed it up, but it was pretty much where it should have been, I seem to remember. So, there's that. This, of course, is our little moving map. This has got our route selected on it. I'm only just understanding the bare bones of this so far, so yeah, I've got a lot to learn. Anyway, so the tow plane is out there. We've got some clouds in the area. I really need to learn thermals. So let's go. So, oh, by the way, the last thing is we have water ballast, and that helps us to cruise at a faster speed. And we release the water ballast when we come to land. So, and then there's finally the landing gear. So, in order to get going, oh, there's that little piece of string across the canopy bow, which is super helpful. That's like our ball and slip indicator, basically. We just waggle the rudder, and our guy holding the wings should realize we want to go. Oh, please. I'm wiggling the rudder, man. There we go. Okay, now he's got it. Now the tow plane is going to take us up. So here we go. Yeah, that was probably it. Let's turn that off for the moment. Just got FS Realistic up and running. We should actually get some good thermals. The clouds are in better positions than my last task for thermaling, so we'll see. So, as I was saying before about the red needle, the reason now why the red needle is going above 0 is because we are gaining some sort of positive force from outside the aircraft that's being given to us. That's essentially what that needle means. It's not directly tied to our vertical speed. Okay, he's going to call off the tow at some point. I might immediately turn... Well, actually, there's a cloud right there, so off to my left, I might actually go and see if I can use that to thermal up a bit. Or maybe that's a bit further away, though. Yeah, that is kind of right there. I think I will use this cloud to my left, despite the fact that the start line is slightly to my right. Okay, coming up through 3,200 feet. In a few moments he's going to waggle his wings and we will drop the cable. That's him there. Let's drop the cable. Cable released. Right, let's get over underneath this cloud and see if we can pick up the thermal. Yeah, that cloud is actually pretty much almost completely underneath the, completely overhead the runway. So it makes sense for us to try and use this cloud first to try and gain a bit more altitude before we head over towards the start line. And the one thing I did notice about this particular task is that there is no minimum or maximum altitude set for the start line. Sometimes on some tasks with the Sim Soaring Club, you have to be at a certain altitude to cross the start line. Or the other one is you can't cross the start line too high. So you'd have to be, let's say, maximum 4,000. There you go. There's the beginning of a thermal. You see that needle going up. And you see the red needle is going above zero. It means that we're gathering some energy from outside the aircraft that's not our own energy. So I've been told that you want to climb. What do I want? I want that. You want to climb slowly. When you're in a thermal, you want to climb slowly, and when you're not in a thermal, you want to speed up to reduce the amount of time that you're not in a thermal. So I'm not. You can see I'm only barely climbing. So I need to get to the windward side of the cloud for the best chance of a good thermal, which is kind of off my right wing here. So you can see I'm making a bit of a circle, and the green dots mean that I am climbing, or I'm in a positive updraft. If they turn to red dots, it means that needle has gone below zero and has turned into. See, I'm only just about getting enough updraft to maintain altitude. I'm not actually getting enough updraft to climb. So let's kind of head towards the, I think off to my 1 o'clock. That's kind of where I need to be. So I'm just going to slowly. Oh, I'm a little bit too slow actually. I want to be above that 49 knot minimum, I think. Okay, we're continuing. We're going directly into the wind, which is a wind of 4 knots. So there we go. And as we come around to the windward side of the cloud, hopefully we should start seeing that thermal get stronger, because apparently the thermal is always the strongest on the windward side of the cloud. There we go. I am starting to climb now. Yep, you can see my altitude is going up. Despite the fact I'm actually going away from the start line. Okay, now I'm in a stronger patch. I'm going to try and do a bit of a turn here. That sounds like a pretty stable, large thermal. So what I want to do is get right up underneath the cloud base before I make a turn towards the start line. Yeah, you can see the green dots get bigger. The more you climb, the thicker and bigger the green dots are, which kind of give you a great visual reference as to where the best strength of the thermal is. We can turn on our collision avoidance now. Yep, looks like we're in a pretty stable thermal here, which is nice. So tomorrow there's a new glider being released by Got Friends, which everyone is raving about, called the S33, is it? I think. Let me just go double check on the Discord. What is it called? It's called the AS33ME by Got Friends. That's releasing tomorrow, and as soon as I grab it, I will make a video. And yeah, look at this thermal. This is great. Nice little circle here we're putting in, and we're climbing up through 4,350 feet. Yeah, so the AS33ME is releasing tomorrow by the same people that have made this glider, and this glider is a lovely glider. I really like this. Really happy with it, and I quite like the fact that Got Friends are releasing very high detailed aircraft add-ons, but because they're gliders, there's not a huge amount of systems depth in terms of avionics and whatnot, and FMCs and all that crap. So it makes, as far as I'm aware, that's probably one of the reasons why it makes a study level payware glider far cheaper than a study wear pay level A320, which is a good thing. So I'm going to turn towards the, I'm going to make a turn towards the start line now, and I'm going to gain some speed. Now, because I'm in a thermal, I'm being drawn upwards. But if I put my nose down, I can actually gain a lot of speed and not actually decrease my altitude. So I'm going to turn the rest of that thermal energy into speed, so that I leave the cloud base. Yep, and now you can see we're fair and square out of that thermal now, because the red needle has done that. Let's just go back to where we were, and we need to go into this semicircular area and then turn to the left and go through the checkered line, and that will be the start. That'll be the start. I'm just going to trim. There we go. Yeah. So there are random thermals underneath these clouds, and that's what I want to be kind of bunny hopping off of for this mission, or this task. So as soon as we hit this start line, we want to turn to the left, and we're actually going to cut across this water here to our first waypoint, which is on Anglesey. No, that's not Anglesey, sorry. Anglesey's way on up. Yeah, no, Anglesey's up there. Right, so 4,500 feet, and we are losing speed rapidly. Why are we losing speed so rapidly? We should not be losing speed that rapidly. What's happening? Why am I losing speed that rapidly? Maybe it's just... Okay, this tone, by the way, guys, I'm just going to... I'm going to turn it so that it only ever actually makes a noise when we're going up. Because we're going to spend a lot of time going down. Okay, I should be around the edge of that box now. I'm going to turn in, and the thing is I don't want to go across... I'm going to go across to this cloud system ahead of me. And once we go across that checkered line, we are active. Any second now. There we go. Task started. So now it changes to a checkered line towards my next waypoint, and I'm gonna try to. I'm actually way too slow now. I feel like maybe I should jog towards that cloud again, but I'm on the downwind current side of that cloud. Actually, no. I'm gonna go towards this cloud base here. Yeah, I'm gonna go towards this cloud base here, and then go to the edge of the front of this cloud, and then turn further left and go across. So there's the airfield that we started at. We took off. We are now about 600 feet above where the tow plane left us. So we gained maybe 1,000 feet at least, if not slightly more, going into that thermal of that cloud. And we gained a bit of speed. And now we're heading towards this cloud, the backside of this cloud here. So the wind, again, the wind is kind of on our left-hand side, actually, so we want to be on the front side of the cloud front, which is slightly here, this big blob of cloud. And I've been told the kind of clouds that give the best thermals are the clouds which are quite thick and have a dark underbelly to them. So this sort of cloud here should serve to give us something. Oh! Of course, you idiot. That would definitely create more drag. I forgot to bring my wheel up. So I should be a lot more aerodynamically efficient now. That wasn't helpful. Well done. But yeah, I'm learning all these things. So so I'll cut back to the video when I've picked up my next thermal. I'll just pause track IR here, and I'll do a bit of trimming. See if I can trim the aircraft to about 70 to 80 knots. And I'll come back to you whenever we've picked up a thermal. Yeah, there's a little bit of an updraft beginning. 1 knot. There's the red needle beginning to climb. There we go. I don't know what the green needle is. I'll have to figure that out. Okay, that thermal is increasing. Let's raise the nose and bleed some speed. Let's slow down. It's a dark cloud as well. We're gaining speed even in the climb. Look at that. We're climbing and gaining speed at the same time. Now that's what I call a good thermal. I'm going to do a rotation or two in this. That's a good thermal. A little bit too slow. Don't want to get too slow now. Yeah, no, that's a really strong thermal. Look at that. 8 on that scale. Yeah, you see the updraft is about 8 knots, so just going to circle in this area for a little bit. Look at that, 4,500 feet and still climbing strong. Really, really good under that dark patch. That's great. Now, you see, if you were racing, maybe you wouldn't stop to circle. Maybe you would just bunny hop through it and come out the other side and keep going. I'm not sure. I'm a complete beginner, so I would prefer to take my time and get as much altitude as possible before I stretch out through the open air towards the next thermal. So yeah, so that was a really strong... I have seen the red needle go up to 10 before, but it doesn't always do that. Really nice, strong thermals here. That's brilliant. Really consistent thermal as well. It's not like a small one where you go through the center of it quickly and come out the other end and then your lift drops away. You just sit in the middle of it and you turn 5,200 feet. Really good. Nice low airspeed. I think the reason why you want to be a low airspeed in a thermal or in ridge lift is because the slower you are, the more time you spend in the lift, the patch of lift, which translates into a greater gain of altitude. There you go. You can hear that now. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Really, really strong. Up to 10 knots updraft. Look at our altitude. It's just reeling away. Brilliant. Really, really strong. Actually, I might just be cheeky and do one more turn here. You do have to use a fair amount of rudder to keep that that string centered on the canopy. The one other thing I like about gliding so far is because the CPU and GPU is not strained in trying to represent such an aircraft like this, where there's no complex aerodynamics, well, not aerodynamics, there's no complex FMC, waypoints, flight plans, all that crap, you know, it's a lot lighter on the code and on the CPU particularly. It means that my CPU is not bottlenecking, and it means that I get a very smooth sim. 2024, flying gliders in 2024 is very, very smooth. I'm getting very nice smooth performance, and you're probably noticing that as well in the video. So in 2020 I still get stutters, so I've got to continue tweaking 2020 with the new graphics card. Right, so that's pretty much, I'm outside most of the thermal, so the last little dregs of the thermal, I'm going to put the nose down and turn that thermal energy into airspeed instead of altitude. Let's just trim nose down a little bit. Right, now what I want to do is I want to speed my way towards this next cloud bank. I don't really want to spend time in a slow profile. So what I've done is I've put my trim forward, and I'm essentially just trimming so that the aircraft is neutrally buoyant about there. That's fine. I'm hands off the stick now. I'm hands off stick and rudder, drinking my 7-Up, and the aircraft is pretty much just flying on the trim. You can see actually the aerodynamic modeling of the glider is very good, because whenever I bank left or right, you can see there's actually a fairly severe level of induced drag. So if I bank to the right, the nose will first go to the left. Watch. See that? The nose will actually shift. It's almost as if I put rudder left, but I didn't. Watch. See that? So what you really need to do to do coordinated turns in a glider is begin the turn with the rudder. That's essentially what you want to do. But isn't she a beauty? And there will be the new glider tomorrow to try out as well. Everyone's saying it's going to be a bit of a beast of a glider. So yeah, looking forward to that too. And I think the most enjoyable thing about gliding is it's not only the challenge of being able to stay in the air with nothing other than lift generated by ridges or thermals, but it's also flying with friends, flying with other people who are flying the same routes as you are. So flying in the Sim, what is it? The Sim SSC. I've forgotten its name at the moment. Sim Soaring Club. I cover Soaring Sim Club or Sim Soaring Club. SSC. The fun thing with flying with those guys is that you just log on, you jump on, and you just all fly together, and you learn so much so quickly, because there's tons of people there very willing to answer your questions. So gliding is, I felt like gliding was a very, very high bar of entry. And I feel like it is, but I guess the principles can be easy to understand, yet hard to master. That's kind of how I feel about it. So there's a lot of room there for perfecting your craft, which is really kind of cool to me, I think. And I wonder if flying on VATSIM with friends in gliders would work. I'm pretty sure it probably would. You do have COM 1 and COM 2 here, as you can see. So if I wanted to go to Unicom, I could go there and go convert. So that I'd be on Unicom now. Although, yeah, well, I'll have to try that sometime. See how gliding actually fits in with VATSIM. But anyway, so we're coming into, let's see, zoom out the other way. Oh, okay. The circle is the waypoint. So as soon as I get into the circle, I can then turn to my new. So that's quite a wide circle, actually. I can begin turning now. I think. Hang on. No. Oh, sorry. No, that was the wrong circle. See that much smaller magenta circle? That's the circle I need to hit. So it's not quite the same. I don't know what that amber or that orange circle was that disappeared just now, but so we're coming down through 5,500 feet, I think. Yeah. So we must have gained quite a lot of altitude in that last thermal. So thankfully over this next waypoint there is another cloud system, so we might be able to grab another thermal for our next leg, which is up towards Anglesey, actually. So I have to say, it's kind of like rolling in VFR, like ultra VFR, because the terrain that you're flying over is super important. Ridge lift is so fun. Flying with ridge lift, close down into the terrain, buzzing the. I mean, I did a course earlier today where I actually flew up to Snowdon, just off my right wing, and was flying across the ridges of Snowdon, gaining with the uplift. And it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, a number of years back, I climbed that ridge, and now I'm like ridge soaring over the side of it, So being really close to the scenery, particularly in 2024, looks really good. In order to test gliding in 2020, I went to the exact same place in 2020 that I had flown in 2024 in a glider, and I could definitely tell close up that the scenery in the world was not as good in 2020 as it was in 2024. So, yeah. Anyway. Alright, getting closer to my waypoint now. Hopefully some point soon under this cloud. We're on the downwind side of this cloud, so as we go over towards the waypoint, we should actually be picking up a bit of a thermal, I would hope. Let's just zoom in on that magenta circle. So that magenta circle, once we hit that, we can then turn onto our new leg. And hopefully benefit from some form of... This is a really dark cloud, so I would expect there's some sort of thermal here that we can take advantage of. Any second now as we come over to the windward side and underside this cloud. And then we can hopefully turn through those clouds there, and there might be some thermals in there. There we go. Up we go. Right, there's waypoint 1 done. So now essentially we can turn on to waypoint 2, but I just want to benefit, or try to benefit from some of this here. There we go. Okay, let's just turn to the left. Let's just do some left spirals now and get a feel for how big this thermal is. Good stuff, good stuff. Up we go. It's really weird to think that out here in the middle of nowhere, underneath a cloud, the wind is actually rushing upwards at a combined speed of like 7.5 knots. It's kind of weird. I never really thought about thermals and ridge lift before so much, particularly when you're flying fixed wing powered aircraft that you just don't care about ridge lift or thermals, and it's almost like you never notice they're even there when you're flying through a cloud. So next time I'm flying a motorized aircraft, let's say when the Aerostar comes out or the Comanche or something, when I'm coming around the windward side of a cloud underneath, I'll definitely pay attention to see if I do see any sort of any addition to the climb. Anyway, right, so we need to fly right the way along the coast, down in between Anglesey and Wales there. So this is definitely not as strong a thermal as we had before, but still, it's pretty decent. 6,000 feet there. 6,000 feet, and continuing to climb. I think I'll make my turn onto my new course now. There we go. And now I will begin nose down and gain some speed with the last little bit of the thermal. Trimming. Okay, I'll trim for roughly 80 knots maybe. And here we go with our next leg. And because we've got clouds to fly through most of the way, we might actually pick up quite a lot of lift between here and next waypoint. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the nose down, get some proper speed, and actually the undersides of the clouds might, if I fly just above the underside of the cloud, I might actually still gain some thermal effect. I have heard that the thermals do actually. Oh, I do need to be a little bit further to the right here. I have heard that the thermals do actually come up into the clouds somewhat. So, a little bit of turbulence there. It just makes for very relaxing simming. Particularly when you've got friends flying with you. So I'm looking forward to my next group flight with the Sim Soaring Club. Unfortunately, I'm actually away from keyboard for the rest of the week. I'm on holiday from Wednesday to Sunday, so I thought I'd get this little video out for you folks today, and I'll be back after the holiday with the new glider that's coming out on Wednesday, the 1st of July. That is. Today's the 30th of June. So it's just a beautiful aircraft to fly. It really does. And the fact that you're not flying with any motorized powered flight is just, I find, really cool. um, so down here you can see waypoint distance is 27.8 nautical miles away, and the time to get there will be 13, almost 14 minutes. So yeah, that's good to know. And also it tells you here, waypoint arrival AGL is 2,600 feet. So basically it's saying if you are flying at this current profile for the rest of the leg, you will arrive at the next waypoint at 2,600 feet. Now, bear in mind, we've got 5,500 feet, so that's a serious amount of altitude that we would lose. But remember also that we have clouds in between here and there with potential thermals. So I would hope to arrive at the waypoint higher than that. One thing I will try to do is, I think, is there a place where I can change from Fahrenheit to oh, is this it? No. Ooh. Headphone simulation. That's cool. Cool. Yeah. I don't know enough about this yet to start messing around with it now, but yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. It doesn't look like there's any lift in these thinner clouds, unfortunately, but there is a bigger cloud bank coming up ahead. So I'll make a cut in the video, and I'll come back to you whenever we're close to our next waypoint. Okay, folks, so the wind is kind of behind us now, off our back left quarter, which means that the clouds that we're coming up to here, we are on the windward side of these clouds, which means we might start receiving a bit of thermaling soon as we come underneath these. And we can begin to see the early indications of a positive updraft. Nope. Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a downward trend here. And this is Anglesey off to our left-hand side, and I think Carnarvon Castle is just below us. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. It just looks really bad on default MSFS. Yeah, there are supposed to be walls that go around the sides. If I bought some sort of Orbex England package for MSFS, that might look better, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. What I am gonna worry about though is the fact that I don't really have any thermal where I expected to see one. So we are going to be coming in to our next waypoint. Probably where it is telling us that we will, 2,600 feet. That hasn't really differed in the trip over here. But there is some clouds with a dark underside pretty much over where the waypoint is that we are going to go through. So let's just turn and head towards the underside of those clouds there and hope that we pick up a thermal. So... And what is this town that we're coming up to? Bangor. One of the many Bangors in the UK. There's one off the Belfast Lough, on the south side of the Belfast Lough, Bangor, I believe. Is it spelt the same? Let me double check. Pretty sure it is. Yes, Bangor. Strange. And we've got some bridges here, actually. That's looking quite nice. That is looking mighty fine. And that one too, if I do not say so myself. So that must be some sort of world update thing. You know what I mean? So the scenery just looks so beautiful. It's just all ortho scenery. Default in the sim. It's just brilliant. Really looks good. And there's Snowdon off to... Oh, that's Snowdon just there underneath the wing. If I just turn around... Yeah, there you go. There's the peak of Snowdon. Or is that the peak of Snowdon? No, I think... No, that's the peak of Snowdon. That's where the train comes down there, I think. Never been on that train. Of the 2 times I've been to Snowdon, been up to the top, seen the train with the fat American tourists sat on it, going to the peak of Snowdon, I probably like offended you know, a good 50% of my viewership right there. But you know, sorry. It's always better to apologize afterwards than ask permission before. Right, here's a bit of a thermal finally. So let's take advantage of this. Let's bring the nose up, slow that speed down, and see if we can sit in this thermal and get back up, you know, above 4,000 feet. Let's just trim. Let's also get this little TT thing on so we can kind of see where the biggest portion. I wouldn't want to be a glider going past here and then get a fast jet like up the backside. But, you know, I guess you have TCAS. I guess you have TCAS. I guess you don't. Doesn't look like you do. Oh, no, there you do. Yep, lol. What am I saying? Yeah, I would have TCAS and I would be on altitude... Yeah, on altitude reporting. So, they would see me. Right, I'm going to turn... because I have a feeling that's not a particularly strong thermal. He says as the thermal strength gradually increases. So yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I glided from that peninsula over there all the way over here with 0 propeller power like any normal aircraft would have, which really shows how insanely efficient gliders have gotten these days. This is a composite modern glider. I think the glide ratio, the guys were saying the other night, the glide ratio of these modern gliders is like 50-1, which means for every foot that you descend, you glide forwards by 50 feet. So if you multiply that by, let's say, you know, if a mile, let's say, or 1,000 feet, let's say, if you're up at, you know, 7,000 feet, by the time by the time you've sunk 1,000 feet, you've gone times 50 that, which is, what is times 50,000? That's 50,000 feet. So for 50, you've gone 50,000 feet forwards for every 1,000 feet you drop. That's a 1:50 ratio. Versus like a Cessna 172, which is like 1:8 or something crazy. So, you know, and another thing on the... Oh, just look at that scenery, isn't it beautiful? I'm getting little micro stutters here, and I'm realizing now. I don't quite know where that's coming from. But, thankfully it's not too... Yeah, I'm getting micro stutters every, like, quarter of a second or something. Not sure where that's coming from. I'm using I'm using frame generation. My brain is just failing. I'm using frame generation at the moment, so that's a beautiful looking bridge down there. Look at that bridge. Little ships. That is a mighty fine bridge. Look at that. Thing of industrial beauty. I do like it when you look down and you can see a proper looking bridge that's been modeled accurately, and it connects to the roads, and it really looks very cool, I have to say, when you see proper bridges. I don't like in MSFS when you look down and the bridge it just looks really bad. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we've probably gained, I would like to say, sufficient altitude to move on with our voyage. So I'm going to just flatten out and continue on to this next waypoint. And like I said, remember using the last of the thermal. Turn that into speed. Do a bit of a zoom climb there in the thermal. That's cool. And the thermal's just getting stronger and stronger, so just gain more speed, gain more speed. Don't know what that green dial is. I wanna know. I'm gonna have to. Let's just use the last of the thermal here. Look at that. Beautiful. Right. So we've still got a bit of thermaling. We're still actually climbing. But we just gained an absolute butt ton of altitude by zoom climbing there. Okay, that's the end of the thermal. And here's the waypoint. So, yeah, so flying using thermals is really cool, but it's really weird still. I haven't just mentally gotten round how you can do this with an aircraft. It just doesn't make sense to me. That there's that much updraft under clouds like this. I just never have appreciated that before. And I've been flying sims for coming on 15 years now. So I wouldn't see myself as a new cookie when it comes to aviation. But yet there are corners of aviation that still hold great interest and many things to learn that I've just never even thought about before. You know? Like, for instance, crop dusting. Like, how crazy are crop dusting pilots who fly like 2 feet above the terrain? Alright, there's the next waypoint. Alright, let's go. So now this next leg is going to be over some rocky terrain. So this is going to be interesting. Yeah, still getting those micro stutters. And when you have a nice graphics card and a smooth sim, you notice micro stutters a lot more than when you always have stutters and therefore, you know, you don't notice them. So let's turn off that thing. Yeah, I don't know what they just must be range rings to the next waypoint I'm looking at. Those orange. Now, that is a significant ridge in front of me, which if I was flying in dead air, I wouldn't really feel comfortable getting over that ridge. Maybe I could probably make it, actually. I'm just still not used to how crazily efficient a glider is. But we have a wind behind us. It's coming off of our back right-hand side. You can see it at 4 knots. So if we actually bottomed out and flew down to that ridge, we could fly along the ridge and gain altitude again using the ridge, the updraft from the ridges. So for instance, the pockets of air that are being forced up through those areas in the mountains, up and over, is going to create, you know, quite a serious updraft. The updraft doesn't really go as high. It would never go as high as a thermal would. So really, for higher altitude cross country, relying on thermals is far more of a better gamble than trying to do a whole route using simply ridge lift, because mountains never go exactly where you want them to. You can only ever profit off of mountain ridges and hill soaring and ridge lift, you know, here and there. You know, it's not something you can do all the time, which is sad. But you know, obviously, if you're in some part of the world like the Alps, you know, you can just ridge lift anywhere you want, and you know. But there we go. I think, am I right in saying that there's a famous vintage heritage railway line that goes around that coast there? Is that the coastline that I'm thinking of? And I'm getting a bit. Let me just zoom in on that. It's the Learn-Fair-Fecken the Learn-Fair-Fecken line. Goodness me. Me and my pronunciations. Anyway. So yes, I'm getting a bit close to these mountains. So yeah, the cool thing about gliding is you start to read terrain in a completely different way than you would if you were in a motorized aircraft. So in a motorized aircraft, you would just avoid this. You just would completely avoid this. But here we go. So areas like this for a glider pilot are your friend. You love these areas. These big shapes and contours that channel the wind upwards and around in angles and directions that really benefit you. So here we go. So we're going to go over this ridge soon, guys. And as we go over this ridge, we're going to profit because there's a bit of a backwind. There's a current that's coming across this ridge, and we're going to want to pop up. As we come over this crest, we'll probably get a little bit of an updraft here, which will help us. And we have a cloud ahead of us, which we will use. Hopefully there'll be a thermal under that cloud that will help to bring us further on to our waypoint. And then that after this waypoint 3, there is a little bit of ridge soaring to be done at the very end of the task. So here we go. I'm just gonna bank to the right here and try and get a bit of a crosswind and hopefully get some lift. We might hear it soon. Yep, going over this steeper area, I imagine I would be getting some ridge lift soon. Nope, I'm getting some sink, actually. That's not good. I would expect to be getting some ridge lift now. I mean, yeah, there's a weird bit here. Like, you wouldn't want to get stuck in that bowl because the wind goes up this face, but then the wind equally goes down into the bowl and then back up again. So you want to hit. There you go. You want to hit the right wave of air current. There's a little bit. Okay, let's use this. It's not very strong at all, but we'll see what we can do anyway. Okay, we're getting a bit slower. Off of this ridge, I'm expecting that's quite steep. I'm expecting some sort of lift here. Of course, another issue is... There you go. There you go. Another issue, though, is that you don't want to waste your energy chasing ridge lift and then not find it. That's going to be a really, really bad situation to be in. So... really what we need to do is go from thermal to thermal. That's really the cross-country key, I think. And that's what separated me from everyone else the other night when I did my first task with the club. Because I was just stuck down in the weeds, hugging the mountains, trying to, use ridge lift to get from A to B. And they were all using thermals and going, way higher and way faster. So... Right, so see this ridge ahead of me? This ridge ahead of me, this is perfect because I know that the wind is going up this face. And so if I actually dive down to this face, and I'm actually bleeding altitude for speed, and then as soon as I hit this ridge and then pop up again, I'm hoping that I might get a little bit of benefit from this. Probably won't get any. Wait for it, wait for it. Little bit of a bump coming, hopefully. Yeah, we've got positive updraft coming. There we go. Oh. But and then hopefully it'll bounce us towards this cloud here. And maybe it's probably going to be the thermal under the cloud that's going to be far better than that ridge was. Yeah. That wasn't... Yeah. It's kind of hard to do ridge work when the mountains are all kind of not joined together. When there's an actual defined ridge of mountains that go along in one unified direction, that's far more efficient for creating good ridge lift that like the Alps basically, or than just a mountain here, little hump here, little hump there. They don't kind of all work together to create unified lift. So right. This next leg is a little bit of a long one, so I'm really hoping that that I can climb as much as I can here. Just go back to this here. Yeah, I might. Yeah, this is a good thermal. I might just. Loiter here for a bit. There you go. That's what you want. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Can we see a 10 today on the video? Can we see a 10? Come on. Come on, you're almost at 9. Come on, make it to 9, make it to 9. Almost. It's really good thermals there. Nice tight circles in this area here. 5,100. Oh, that's AGL. Okay, so no, this is QNH above sea level. This is above ground level. Don't quite know how they do above ground level. Okay, when we come around the next time, we're going to head out. It's 5,500. 5,600. That's really good. 5,650. 5,700. 5,750. 5,800. You see how quickly we're climbing here? This is great. Now, like I did before, as we head out towards our waypoint, let's put the nose down and let's turn that thermal effect into speed. And you can see we're barely losing altitude because we've got our nose pointed down, but because we're in updraft air, the altitude is pretty much staying the same, but our speed is rocketing upwards. So, and there we go. We're out of the thermal, and yeah. So I love gliding. This is so much fun. I'm really enjoying this. It's chill, but at the same time, I don't know. It's super dynamic. It's super technical, and you feel like you have so closer connection with, you know, nature and aerodynamics flying a glider than you know, a powered aircraft. And I've not used the propeller once, which is great. Right, so this is the next one, and we should have in a few moments our final leg. Okay, so final leg is 21 nautical miles, and it should be 10 minutes. So not too long now, guys, and then we'll have the finish line. It's actually the finish line we're going towards now, and then we land at another airport out here. So, and then after we've landed, I will show you the tracking software that I've been using for Sim Soaring Club. And for those of you who are watching the video who have not tried gliding before, if you want to, but you feel a little bit phased by how, you know, challenging it might be to get your head around all this, I've literally watched some videos and learnt what I am showing you within the space of maybe 3 days of just casual viewing YouTube videos and watching, and then trying it out myself with the guys. So, yeah. And gliding, there's actually a number of freeware gliders that are more than capable. You know, you don't need payware gliders. Like, you know, the actual default glider and the freeware gliders off flightsim.to are more than capable of filling your glider needs indefinitely. You don't have to buy any payware. It's just that the payware is really nice. Right, another bit of a thermal here, which is fantastic. En route thermal, that's what we like to see. So let's get the airspeed down as we pitch up and try and use some of this thermal to carry us on our way. Okay, so okay, so increasing my speed again. There we go. I do like the Discus. This is my first proper payware glider, and I am really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. And I will enjoy the AS33 that releases tomorrow as well from Got Friends. It's slightly different. The screen is bigger, and apparently it's a higher performing glider than this one. It has these bug cleaning devices that go up and down the leading edges that clean the splattered bugs off the leading edges, because apparently the splattered bugs on your leading edges detract from your aerodynamic efficiency. That's how crazy, that's how cutting edge, pun intended, that modern gliding is. It's insane. So it's saying that we should arrive at the waypoint at 3,400 feet, which is fantastic, more than enough wiggle room. But it also gives us our restriction, which is we can't be any lower than 500 feet as we cross the finish line. So there will be altitude restrictions for different waypoints that you have to hit, which kind of force you to, you know, really conserve your energy at certain stages, or maybe you have to actually climb a couple of times on a ridge to get up to a certain altitude to then get through a waypoint, you know, that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun. So we've got a tailwind now of 4 knots, and task time is actually under an hour so far. We're only 58 minutes, which I'm pretty amazed, because the actual the official task on the club page, the tracker, says that the task on average is a 60-minute task. And I looked at this route and I thought, no way am I going to do this in 60 minutes. But I must be doing something right, because we're almost 60 minutes, and we're only 7 minutes away from the finish line. So, actually, if we're 7 minutes away from the finish line, and we're going to get there with 3,500 feet, let's just put our accelerator on. Let's nose down and gain some speed. See if we can actually get there a bit faster, and try and come in. We're not going to come in under 60 minutes at this point, but we might be able to come in. We might be able to come in close to that. So and this is where I start to really feel challenged and think, okay, well, if I did this in, 62 minutes, then one or two of those turns in the thermals back there, if I had done a couple of turns less, I might have actually made this in under 60 minutes. So I start to think about, oh, okay, how can I fly as efficiently as possible to get there as quickly as possible? And that's where guys in the club, there is one guy in the club that everyone else was talking about, who is an absolute legend at gliding. And, yeah, he knows how to kind of eke the absolute edge out of every ridge and every thermal. And that's kind of cool. I think that's really cool. And that would be fun to just join those guys more. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do from time to time. I might do a gliding video, interspersed by the A2A Simulations Aerostar that's going to be releasing next month, which I've been waiting for so long. A twin GA aircraft from A2A Simulations we've genuinely been waiting for probably a decade, and that's not a joke. That's not some sort of exaggeration. Yeah, this is good. This is good. We want to. We can be as low as 500 feet crossing this finish line. So, bleeding this speed and accelerating, and getting to the waypoint faster. Yeah, we're over an hour now, but not by much. Like, yeah, we'll be 63 minutes on a task that said it would take an average of 60 minutes to complete. So I think. For this being my third serious attempt at doing a glider task, I feel like I've come so far in learning how to use thermals. This is my second task today. My first task was last night with the crew, and I had no clue how thermals worked last night. But by now I'm like, oh, okay. Picked up a few comments. Some of the guys gave me some pointers, and here we are. So we're barreling down towards the finish line, and actually there is an airfield. You can see a small airfield there, and that is our airfield that we're going to land at. And another thing about gliding is that you start to frequent a lot more grass strips that even GA aircraft would be tight to get into, and unregistered grass strips that you just never even knew were there. So your relationship with the terrain, you start to get to know an area of the country a lot better, the local spots of the area a lot better than even if you were flying GA, which I thought I thought GA was pretty much as tied to the terrain as you could possibly get. But here we are in a glider, even more tied to the terrain. So I said that there was going to be some ridge lift at the end. That ridge was the ridge I was talking about, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the finish line, and I'm going to come in for a landing. So, oh, by the way, one thing I will do is start dumping my water as well. Apparently, you're supposed to dump your water before you land. You should never apparently land a glider heavy. So, but don't ask me exactly the ins and outs of why. I haven't learnt any of them yet. So this we're going over here is actually, and you can see it's actually a glider airport. You can see the gliders on the ground. You can see the boxes that the gliders come in. So I'm guessing that those are taxiways. Actually, those are not runways. So there's actually just a grass strip to land on. So at least that's what I'm thinking. So coming towards the finish line, here we go. And through that checkered line, dumping that water as we go. And then I'll do a turn to the right to come round on that airfield. And because we're a glider, I don't know if the Discus is an aerobatic glider. I don't think so. So maybe I shouldn't do anything too crazy. But I think I should be able to do a pretty tight turn here. Oh, look at that tower on the top of the... There you go. So, task completed, an average of 73.5 knots, 14 hours, 46 minutes and 49 seconds. I don't know what that means. Oh, that's the local time that I finished in. Okay, so let's bring in my... yeah, so all of the water is been bled. And by the way, so the spoilers on the gliders are horrendously efficient. So you can do nosedives like this and bleed a horrendous amount of speed very quickly. So even if you're high and fast coming into a glider airport, yeah, and we're coming in with a headwind. Actually, I am going to use that as a runway. I'm pretty sure that's probably supposed to be a runway. It just looks really narrow. So, okay, speed brakes out. Let's get the wheel down. Wheel is down. And just bring it into the land. And, ooh, a little bit of a bounce. Flare, and hold the stick back. Double windsock weirdness. And there we go, guys. Super enjoyed that. I super enjoyed that. I have to say, really enjoyable stuff. And yeah, we've got no brakes on a glider, but what you can do is you can actually touch one of the wings on the ground, and that will create some friction. That will help to slow you down a bit quicker. Whew. So there you are, guys. I super enjoyed that. Check canopy. Why would I need to do that? I don't know. So super enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed that too. I'll get that video edited and uploaded to you soon. And yeah, have a good day, and I'll catch you later. Just go out and see the outside there. That's really nice. Oh, actually, let's just jump into Control C. Yeah. That just shows you kind of how small the glider is in comparison with the average human standing next to it. That really is tiny. That really is only space enough for a human being, and then that's it. But yeah, really nicely modeled and developed. I didn't show you the propeller, but I'll have to do that next time on another video. So just to show you here, folks, this is the planner that I used, and if I can click on this, it should overlay. Yeah, there we go. It should overlay everything that I did, so you can see I took off with the plane, and it was about here that I released the tow plane. I went over here. I picked up a thermal here. I came over. I went into the start zone and then across the line there, and then I was basically going from the start line to this waypoint, so I basically went up here, took some thermals, went over there, took some thermals to the waypoint, and then came along here, took some thermals over Bangor, like you saw, then up to waypoint 2, and then I tried to pick up some ridge lift over there, which was a bit sketch, and then picked up, thankfully, a thermal there, went to waypoint 3, and then basically zoomed all the way down to crossed the finish line, and then slammed into the airport. So that is essentially my track. It says around 60 minutes, like it said, and I think that's everything I need to do. Yeah, there's another an analytics page there. I don't quite know. If I go back to where was I going here? Here we go. If I hit refresh. There you go. Yes, you see now, and I got the time correct. You see the previous two I wasn't getting the local times correct. Now that's the first flight I've done where all 4 of those criteria are correct. So yeah, so completed in 1 hour and 3 minutes 55. Average speed 136. No, that's not correct. Oh, kilometers per hour. Okay. For some reason, it doesn't show me the full distances, but yeah. Yeah, I super enjoyed that, and yeah, I look forward to doing more of this. So, yeah, see you guys later.